No. Should have seen how many times you don't understand what I was doing. Every time you guys wanted to talk,
Yeah, you'd like click
I had to
something.
go around. I was going like the whole period. I think I got it was like my back was sore, like my side was sore from my times going back and forth. So, you guys are gonna need your computer. We're gonna start off. I got basically something I'm gonna teach, and then we'll go from there. Way to go, Zoomers! Got a lot of you. Good job. It's Monday, and it's like I'm not used to wearing a mask all day again. And then you come back here, and it's like, gosh, this is real life again. So, again, I know some of you stayed home today for various different reasons. I want to say thank you. I think that's a smart move, especially right now with what's happening. Okay, those of you who did make it, we only have 4 in class. So they are Kimberly. Hello. We have Brooke. And we have the Hiddles. So 2 of the 4 are in the same family. So that makes me feel safer at least. Okay. As you guys are finishing your lunch up, I see, and whatnot, we are going to I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I've got a few different things for you. And it can be a little bit confusing. So I want to make sure we get this right. Stanley just got on too, which means he might be popping to the virtual. So let me pull this over here so you guys can see it. And all right, so for those of you who are not in class here, I'm going to share the screen that everyone is looking at in class so you can kind of see what's going on. If you've already started your quiz, I'm going to be annoyed so I can tell when you start, literally the second. So don't start your quiz yet. I don't even think it publishes till noon, does it? No, I didn't make it. I decided not to be an angry elf and put what time it starts at. So don't open it up and do it yet. You guys already done that? You look a little guilty. Okay. All right. So we are in modules here. I do want to recognize we have a new student with us, Miss Jasmine. Jasmine, if you can hear us and whatnot, do you mind telling us where you're coming from? Well, we'll try again another day, maybe. It's all right. So the first thing that I want to do today is talk about this thing called contextualization. It's under 11.3 DBQ work. Now, technically, I had to call it 11.3 because we have to prep for tomorrow. We have whatever they call it day. They have like we have a real school day tomorrow, I guess. I just have meetings all day. But yeah. So first thing I would do if I were at home is you want to use this file and download it. It's a quick document that I put together earlier to talk about a skill called contextualization. So I know you can't see it now, but go ahead and download that, please. And don't worry about reading the rest of the assignment. It's okay. Because this is what I wanted to talk about in class here for a little bit. All right, so as most of you, I think, got at this point, the AP exam is based off a 7-point rubric, okay? We've worked on a lot of the skills already, thesis statement, the grouping of the documents, that's 3 points right there. Point of view or bias or limitation is 4 points. Historical nuances we haven't totally done yet, which I call synthesis. And then extra evidence beyond the documents is 6, and then contextualization is 7. So we're at about 5 out of 7 right now, which is pretty good. 6 out of 7. So to that point, I wanted to talk about contextualization today. So if you look on the document, okay, what the actual AP rubric says is contextualization should describe a broader historical context relevant to the prompt. So, and then it goes on to say, to earn this point, the response must relate the topic of the prompt to broader historical events, developments, or processes that occur before, during, or continue after the time frame of the question. This point is not awarded for merely a phrase or reference. So, I think a lot of you will understand that, but I wrote common sense here. So, basically, this is the start of your essay. It's the first sentence of the first paragraph, and you're basically going to be saying what specifically is happening or has happened that affects your answer to the prompt. Okay, so you can actually write this without having the documents because you'll know what the prompt is, and the prompt will give you historical evidence as to like what the time period is, what it's asking you to answer. Okay, and I'll explain that in a second, but you want to use what's called a funnel approach. And so if you want to look at this in an even easier way, you're going to start with a fairly vague statement, and then your second paragraph is going to get more specific. Your second sentence gets more specific. Your third sentence gets even more specific, and then your last sentence should be specific to your thesis, but not your actual thesis. Okay, so you break it down to the actual topic at hand. Now, if you are adding it up in your head, that's 4 well-written sentences. That's what I'm looking for, okay? 4 well-written sentences. Now, a couple things to just remember. First off, this will not count as the extra evidence part of your essay, okay? The extra evidence is a fact that you need to put in one of your 3 body paragraphs. It needs to be pretty obvious, okay? If I were you and it's a topic that you get a topic that you know, I'd probably put more than 1 piece of extra evidence in just to make sure that it's correct. Okay, so that being said, don't put in extra evidence in the first paragraph, the introductory paragraph, which is called contextualization, because they're not going to give that to you and you're kind of wasting your time. Okay, hope everybody's paying attention here online. This is kind of important stuff, okay? That's why I wrote it down and have it in a document so you can go back and look at it. Now, the contextualization is meant to show you know the event being described in the documents is a part of many events going on simultaneously. If you don't know what the word simultaneously means, that there's other things going on at the same time, okay? So I wrote, think about a pond and a pebble. Okay, regardless of the size of the pebble or whether it's a massive rock, when it hits the pond, it causes ripples. Okay, and so the event that is being described, if somebody wasted enough time to make a DBQ about said event and to gather 7 documents, chances are that that event is probably fairly important in terms of world history, and so you can put it in context of what is happening and how the ripples of that event are affecting other things that cause ripples too and how they meet up, okay? A really easy example of this, again, just going back to what we've studied in this course, would be the Renaissance and how the Renaissance affected the Reformation and how it affected the scientific movement or revolution, or and how that tied into the Enlightenment. Okay, easy example. The Mongols. Okay, how the Mongols wreaking havoc from China over to Europe caused a power like a gap in power that allowed the gunpowder empires to exist. It allowed Russia to become who Russia is to this day. It allowed for the Ottoman Empire to expand, okay, wiping out large groups in that area. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. And so I have a couple things I wanted to practice with. And I don't exactly know how I want to do this other than just kind of having a discussion here. So if you guys are going to participate on the Zoom, just a reminder that you're going to be talking to this massive class right now of people in my room. aka 4 people. Okay, it's not that many. And you will be on the loudspeaker. Okay, if you're in class, I'll have to share what you say to the people here. It's fine. I'm not starting the whole Zoom thing again. So let's take a look at the first one. The first one's easy. The second one's hard. Let's be honest. Okay. So if we got the question, how did the Tang and Song dynasties create a golden age in China? How would we start with a vague statement and then make it more specific? And what would we be looking like to identify? Okay. I'm thinking that we're first looking at a geographical region. That's China. And so that's the important thing for us to recognize. And then we're looking at Tang and Song dynasties. So we probably want to have some kind of a guess as when those are. And top of my head, I don't even know. I'm going to say around 500 CE to probably about 1200 CE when the Mongols wiped out the Song. And so now I've got a geographical area, China. I've got a time period-ish. You don't have to be specific on dates. And I then have the third idea, what's called a golden age. And so golden age is obviously a super biased, dumb term, but it's used quite a bit in history. And a lot of places have experienced a golden age. So there are different ways for you to go about writing this contextualization. I hope you guys understand that. Some people might go the route of explaining contextualization through Chinese dynasties right now. Other people might use golden ages, okay, and talk about the golden age of Islam in the Middle East under the Abbasid Caliphate. They might talk about the golden age of Europe in the 16th century when mercantilism was popular. They might talk about the golden age of the Inca and the Aztec dynasties prior to European arrival. They might talk about the golden age of the Sudanic states of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. I mean, that right there was more than 4 sentences, and you would have sounded like a historical genius had you written that in an essay. Okay, the reader would have said, whoa, this person knows what they're talking about. Okay, but it depends on how you want to go about it. Like I said, you could even go about it from an invention standpoint and talk about some of the most famous inventions ever made. Because during the Tang and the Song, a compass that was actually usable was produced. Gunpowder was made to a fashion that could actually be functional. Now, I'm not certain that I would say all of that in my contextualization because I'm guessing that would be in the documents, and I don't want to ruin, again, my evidence that I'm going to use in the documents or evidence that's already in the documents. I don't want to restate it. So there we would have to take a look at what the documents tell us. Okay. Looking at some people on actually have their videos on. Lily Dole. Give me a thumbs up if you're following what's going on here. Good. Good. Katya, you following along here? Excellent. Okay. Oh, we have a question. Probably have to go to the bathroom. Watch. Oh, thumbs up. Good. Thanks, Owen. Appreciate it. All right. So that's the easier one. Let's be honest. I think hopefully you guys understand what a funnel is. It starts off broad and then gets more specific. Okay. I didn't really feel like looking up a computer generated funnel, and I didn't really want to take a bunch of notes on the board like I normally would do. So the second one, though, is going to throw a little bit of a wrench into life here. This is the 27 DBQ or document-based question from the AP College Board, okay? So these were freshmen 2 years ago sitting in the same place you are. Well, no, they were actually in the school. And this was thrown across their desk. And yes, they were nervous. And yes, a lot of them didn't do well, but some of them did well. Evaluate the extent. Okay, that already sucks. Sounds horrible. But evaluate the extent to which religious responses to wealth accumulation in Eurasia in the period between, circa means between or around 600 BCE to 1500 CE, differed from state responses to wealth accumulation. So this one gets a little more challenging because Our geographic area is Eurasia. Doesn't say Afro-Eurasia, it just says Eurasia. That means Europe and Asia. And it wants us to evaluate the extent to which religious wealth accumulation and state wealth accumulation, and it gives us the time period, 600 BCE to 1500 CE. Now, this won't be a question you'll get because they changed the years of the exam. But I think it's still good to practice because we can answer this. So can somebody come up with a broad first sentence that we would use in a funnel approach? So a broad sentence here that we would use to start off our essay if we're going to show accurate or appropriate contextualization. Okay, think on it here. If those of you on Zoom, you can either unmute, put your hand up so I know you're going to say something, or just type it in the chat function. That works too. But we're trying to come up with a first sentence here as a group. And it doesn't even have to be anything very, like, again, it doesn't have to be a fact. It's just that we're getting the essay started because we're going to get more specific after this. Do you want me to give you guys an example?
I understand what the question's asking, and I actually was able to think of like less of a broad term. I'm just having trouble coming up with like the broadest term that I can find for the question.
Go ahead and say it.
I don't. So the way that I was thinking about this, my mind went to the Pope and just like how they accumulated like money and how that just like also drove like that religion, like how that translated into like Catholicism or like Christianity. And then my thoughts about like state, wealth would mean like status or like special privileges. So that's what I was thinking of. But
So,
I don't know how to make that really broad.
If you guys can, I'm not sure if you can hear Hannah or Lucy here. Hannah said it brought to mind to her the Pope and the wealth accumulation of the Catholic Church, and then special privileges to certain wealthy people as well in the state. And I think she was referring to like Hinduism in India at this time, how the caste system became very strict. Confucianism during the Han Dynasty, I'm assuming, and the fact that if you passed the civil service exams, you knew Confucianism and you got a higher place in the government. And then potentially even, state responses to wealth accumulation is probably going to bring up the Roman Empire. And so you can kind of guess what the documents are already going to be about, I would imagine, okay, if you really analyze it. But a broad statement, I think in this one, it says to evaluate the extent. I would say, I would start off with something to the extent of religion, religious wealth and state wealth have always been a part of empires in global history, or in Eurasia.
Like maybe you can talk about like the social aspect of it, like people who are really leaders or like missionaries, and then those who are like the wealthiest of the social status.
Yeah. So then you could go into religion and state responses to this wealth has caused differences in social hierarchies. You could say it's made an impact on art and architecture. There's, again, using these terms and ideas that you guys already know. Really going back to your class themes even, that's why we use that kind of terminology. Economic changes, it's driven imperialism. These are the type of things you would use to get to your more specific, which is then going to be your thesis statement. And so you already had 3 or 4 pretty good sentences right there. The thing is you're not going to have 15 to 20 minutes to think on this. You're going to have like 3. So it's going to have to be quick. And it's, again, you only get, I believe, 60 minutes to write this essay anyways. So between that and analyzing the documents, it's going to be pretty quick. All right, so I threw a curveball at you, a little bit of tougher one, so that you get some practice here. So, what I want you to do now is, based upon what we worked on, is we're going to go back to the assignment then at hand here. Okay, and so I'm going to share a little bit of a different screen with you. And hopefully you're still there. All right, so we're now on back to this Canvas page. And the Chapter 23 DBQ PDF. Okay, here's the instructions. Using the following DBQ, which literally was the 2019 AP Test DBQ, to work on the skill of contextualization. You will need to go to page 6 to see the prompt. To get your full amount of points, I expect you to have 4 well-written sentences in the format we discussed in class. The funnel approach, broad to more specific, okay? So when I open this up, which I already have opened, well, maybe this will keep the share. Jackson, can you see this on the screen? AP World History free response questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes or no? Lily, can you see that? Okay, so you're gonna have to go past all the fun stuff that we haven't learned about yet, which is called SAQ, short answer questions. If you want to see some examples, you can look at them. But the DBQ, I believe this is page 6 right here, page 5. And then the prompt is on page 6 right here. Evaluate the extent to which the Portuguese transformed maritime trade in the Indian Ocean in the 16th century. You'll notice Mr. Burnett was smart enough to make sure it was about the topic that the chapter is about, okay, which is why I did this in the first place. So, evaluate the extent to which the Portuguese transformed maritime trade in the Indian Ocean in the 16th century. If you're really struggling on this, folks, tonight or tomorrow or in class, whenever you want to do it, I'm just going to be honest with you. There are answers out there on the web, student examples from the AP, from College Board, if you want to see what was accepted and what wasn't accepted. But I don't want to give them to you. I'm going to at least make you do a little bit of work, or just do it on your own, which is the best way to do it. Okay? Everyone good with that? Yes? Okay, so again, it seems like a very simple thing. It's only going to be 4 sentences, but it's a very important 4 sentences because it's practicing for something that we're going to be doing here. You know, you're going to be writing a full DBQ for the final exam this semester. Yes. Well, it's part of it, yeah. I've had too many missing assignments to. I mean, I don't know how many people actually read the chapter for today. I'd be surprised if very many people finished it. I know.
It took me like a day to like go back over and just like connect it all because sometimes like jumped around. And when they started talking about Japan, I was so
Yeah. But so the last thing I want to tell you guys before I say go ahead on your quiz is on the board in here, I have written down what the schedule is for the week. So you're going to need to take your reading quiz now when I'm done talking. And then you can obviously work on the contextualization. Your best bet is to try to do it on your own and don't work with partners on this so that you can formulate your own ideas. Wednesday, we'll talk about the Asian sea trade transition and the Portuguese and the Dutch in Indonesia and Batavia. And then Thursday, we'll talk about the Tokugawa and the Ming. I mean, the chapter is kind of a crazy chapter. It's a lot of stuff. It used to be the first chapter we did when we got back from break in January, but we're way ahead this year because we're in a different we're covering this a different way because the exam's different. So, and then Friday we'll have a discussion and you'll just flip. If you were on the outer circle, you're on the inner. If you're in the inner, you're on the outer. And we'll see what we can do. Okay. All right. On that note, should be in modules and it should be published. I believe it is. The quiz should be right here, chapter 23 notes quiz, okay? Good luck. Make sure you get done this period. Unless you have extended time and you're going to do it after school, that's fine. But if not, I want you to get done now. Okay, you have about 30 minutes, plenty of time. All right, be good, people. Thanks for showing up. Don't do anything crazy tomorrow. But do pay attention. It should be interesting. I gotta figure out how to stop this.